The first thing I saw was the feet. They were right in front of my face. Dust was moving under them. But the feet were not touching the ground. They were floating. Slowly, gently, like dry leaves carried by the wind. My heart stopped. Then a voice spoke above me. A voice that sounded old and cold. Children, why are you looking where you should not look? That was the moment I knew we had made a terrible mistake. My name is Obinna. This happened many years ago in a small village in southeastern Nigeria. Our village was quiet. Small mud houses, tall palm trees, red dusty roads. But the busiest place in the whole village was Nkwo Market. If you wanted food, you went there. If you wanted clothes, you went there. If you wanted to hear gossip, you also went there. The market was full of laughter, but the elders always said something strange about it. Something that made children feel cold inside. They said, not everyone you see in Nkwo Market is alive. When I first heard that, I laughed. How can dead people come to market? I asked. My grandmother did not laugh. She looked at me with eyes that were very serious. Then she said quietly, because the market belongs to both worlds. One evening, we sat around the fire. The moon was big. The crickets were singing. That was when my grandmother told us the secret. My best friend Chike was there too. Grandmother leaned forward. Her voice became low. If you ever want to see the dead walking among the living. Chike's eyes became big. How? Grandmother shook her head. You must never do it. Chike grinned. Tell us first now. Grandmother sighed. Then she said the thing that changed everything. If you stand in the market and bend down and put your head between your legs. She paused. You will see their feet. What about their feet? I asked. Grandmother whispered. Their feet do not touch the ground. The fire crackled. No one spoke. Then she said the final warning. If you try it, the spirits may take something from you. Chike laughed loudly. Grandma, that is just a story. But grandmother looked straight at him. Stories are sometimes warnings. The next morning, Chike came to my house. He was smiling in a way that meant trouble. Obinna, he said, today we will know the truth. My stomach felt strange. What truth? The market secret. I shook my head quickly. No, I don't want to die. Chike laughed. You believe everything old people say. Then he leaned close. What if it's not true? I thought about it. What if it was not true? What if the elders were just trying to scare children? Curiosity began to grow in my chest, like a drum beating slowly. Boom, boom, boom. All right, I whispered, but only for a moment. Chike smiled wild. That's my friend. Nkwo market was louder than every other day that day. Women were shouting, buy fresh fish, sweet oranges, hot roasted corn. The smell of pepper soup filled the air. Children ran everywhere. Drummers played music. Everything looked normal. Very normal. But Chike kept whispering, do you think they are here? I whispered back, I don't know. Then when we noticed something strange, an old man was selling yams, but no one was buying. People walked past him like he was invisible. Do you know him? Chike asked. I shook my head. Then the old man looked straight at us. His eyes were dark, very dark. He smiled slowly. My skin began to crawl. Let's go somewhere else, I whispered. But Chike shook his head. First, we'll try it. We stood between two palm trees. My heart was beating so loud I could hear it. Chike spoke softly. Really? No, I whispered. But he was already bending down. He placed his head between his legs. Then he looked behind him. At first, he laughed. Then he stopped laughing. Then he whispered, Obinna. What? I asked. There are many of them. Cold fear rushed through my body. What do you see? Chike swallowed. Feet. My legs felt weak. What about them? His voice trembled. They are floating. The air suddenly felt cold. Very cold. Slowly, I bent down too. My hands touched the dusty ground. I pushed my head between my legs. Then I looked, and I saw them. Feet, hundreds of feet, walking, floating just above the earth. Some wore old sandals, some were bare. Some looked like feet from another time. And then something strange happened. One pair of feet stopped right in front of me. Then another. Soon, all the floating feet had stopped walking. They were all facing us. The market became silent. No voices, no drums, no goats, nothing. Then a deep voice spoke. Children. My blood froze. Why are you looking at us? Chike screamed, Run! We jumped up and ran. We pushed through the crowd, but something strange happened. The crowd did not move. People stood like statues, frozen. A woman holding tomatoes did not blink. A man carrying a goat did not breathe. Obinna, Chike whispered, why is everyone standing still? I looked back and I saw something that made my heart nearly stop. All the floating feet were now moving toward us. Slow. Then a voice spoke again. You saw what you should not see. Chike grabbed my arm. We are sorry, he shouted. But the voice answered, curiosity always has a price. Suddenly, a loud bell rang. Gong, gong, gong. The market came alive again. People began shouting. Children began running. The floating feet were gone. Everything looked normal again. Chike laughed nervously. Maybe we imagined it. I wanted to believe him. I really did. But when we turned around, the old yam seller was standing behind us. Very close. Too close. He looked into our eyes. Then he whispered something I will never forget. You should not have looked. The next morning, the village woke up to shouting. People were running toward the market. I followed them. My legs felt heavy. When I arrived, I saw the crowd. And in the middle of the market, Chike was lying on the ground. His eyes were open, but he was not moving. A woman cried, "He just fell down." Another shook his head slowly. Then he said quietly, "Some doors should never be opened." Many years have passed. I am old now, very old. But sometimes, when I walk through a crowded market, I remember that day. And sometimes, when the dust moves in a strange way, I feel afraid. Because once, just once, I bent down again, only for a second, and I saw something that made my heart freeze. One pair of floating feet had stopped, and they were standing right beside me, waiting. I hope you learned some lessons from this story. Number one lesson is curiosity can lead us into danger when we ignore wise warnings. Another one is the elders speak from knowledge we may not understand yet. A third one, the spiritual world is not something to play with. Last but not the least, some mysteries are better left unseen. I hope you enjoyed this story. Thank you for listening to the story. Make sure that you subscribe, make sure that you share, make sure that you like, make sure that you comment. Join this community so that we'll get this channel to 1,000 subscribers in no time. Thank you all for listening. See you next time.